Hey, hi. How are you doing? Hey, thank you for tuning in. I don't know if you found my podcast by accident, you stumbled on it, or perhaps you Googled a search and it popped up. Whatever brings you here, I'm glad you're here. My name is Gary, and this is Military Illumination. It's a podcast where we uncover the truth behind the military enlistment experience and tells you what they recruiters won't tell you. I share with you things that is while it can be out there, easily obtainable, but it's in most cases it's overlooked, right? Military illumination is just about informing, helping, and guiding. So, thanks for being here. I got my coffee here. Of course, it's decaf because Lord knows if I drink regular coffee, I'll be talking a mile a minute. Anyways, let's just have a simple conversation about the things that the recruiters, the government, and maybe even fellow veterans don't tell you about. Relax. Thank you. So today our topic is going to be on the military contract. Yes, the place where you sign the dotted line and your life is forever changed. Literally, it's changed. As you may know, I'm a veteran. I grew up through a system of militarization, which basically meant that I watched a lot of war movies, played a lot of war games in the neighborhood. I grew up in the Vietnam era, JROTC, and other military organizations that was geared towards the youth. So by the time I got to the point where I was enlisting and sat down with the recruiter at the MEP station, I was like a dog on a ham bone. I was itching just to get in. And I didn't hear. All I heard really was sign here, dot this, and there you go. Little did I know, a simple process of sign here, dot there, check this box can have a impactful effect on your life. It's something as simple as sitting down on the contract time. So that's what we're going to talk about, that contract. It really should be, you really should take a look at it before you even talk to the recruiters. You can get a contract, you can get a sample of the contract online. I got one, I'm going to be talking about it. We're talking from it, but it's like everything else. You should always sign it. You should always read it before you sign it. Read it before you go down to the MEP station, because things happen so fast and they're so slick and they just guide you right around the important stuff. And before you know it, you're in and you don't know what the heck what you got yourself into. So that was my experience with the contract. It was really quick. It probably lasted maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes anyways. But what I want to do is take you step by step on this contract, step by step, right? Then I want you can go to my website, militaryillumination.com. You can go to my website and I'll have a copy there. You can also Google, I think military contracts or whatever. I will give you the name of it and just take a look at it. Take a look at it is all I'm saying, because it's very impactful, very insightful. And really, it's only 4 pages. It's not very large. It's not very dense. Okay, it's very quick. But what it does, it takes away your life. A simple contract, and it takes away your life. It takes away your freedom. It takes away your choice making. It takes away your individuality. It takes away your dignity in a lot of cases. It takes away your safety. It takes everything away. You ever watch those movies and the devil saying, okay, a lot of times it's a sports athlete that says, you know what? If you just let me win this championship, let me throw this no-hitter, I will sell my soul to the devil. Of course, you can't do that, and I'm not going to get into that reasoning, but that's a lot of movie stuff. I'll sell my soul. And he'll grin, he'll laugh, and he'll just say, sign right here. The person signs, and it's over with. So, that being said, let's just have a conversation. So when you talk about, first of all, the contract that I'm looking at, it is DD form 4, and it's February 2025. So it's pretty recent. It's DD form must be Department of Defense Form 4. And this version is February 2025. Okay. It says, so first of all, when you look at the contract, it's basically about, let's see here, it's about 4 pages, right? But there's really only one page that you really need to read and pay attention to. There's only one page that you listen to what I'm saying. Hold on. I don't think you hear me. Okay, you take a deep breath. There's only one page that you need to take a look at and read and read. You need to read it so many times, and then ask an insane adult, the one that's trying to get you out of the house, okay, to ask for their input. What does it mean? Then you ask a friend, what does this mean? Should I do it? Right? Only then should you move forward with it, the other parts of it, okay? And the part that I'm going to tell you about the part that you need to read in a minute. Okay, yes, I know I'm just trying to string you along, so you can stay on my podcast. Okay? All right, here we go. Let's see here. Page 1 of the contract. There it is right here. Okay. So you have 4 parts. Okay, I'm going to walk you through it. I will also have something on my YouTube channel. I also will have something on Military Illumination.com. And also you can get it yourself just by Googling it. It's enlistment/reenlistment document, Armed Forces of the United States. That's the title. Enlistment/reenlistment document, Armed Forces of the United States. It was updated February 28th, 2025. Department of Defense ID is 1304.02 as prescribed. All of the additions is basically obsolete. So when you look at the contract, there's about several parts, okay? About 8 parts to the contract. Okay, there's about 8 parts to the contract, as I mentioned before. I'm sorry, I got cut off. My computer keeps dying on me. Part A is basically the ID and data information. It's like who you are, social security number, date of birth, where you were born, your date, where you were born at, home of record. Then there's the agreements, which is part B. It is your agreement that you're enlisted in, you're getting to the military through the delayed entry program. That's what part B is. Now, part C is a partial statement of existing United States law. Okay. And finally, you have part D, which is certification and acceptance. And E is confirmation of enlistment or reenlistment. And then finally, you got H. F, which is discharge from the delayed entry program. G is approval and acceptance. And H is a confirmation of enlistment. This last part here is on F, G, and H. I'm gonna make note of that. That's part really is the out of is a person's way out of the delayed entry program. I'm not gonna get into it very much right now, but once a person enlists in or go through the delayed entry program, that means like a lot of times it's high school seniors. They'll sign up in January. That's my family. That's what I did. And then you go in in July or June or something like that. You're delaying your entry. I'm gonna say this about that is that even though you do that, a person still can get out of it. You're not obligated, okay? And there's ways out of it if you're like a high school senior or someone and you went into the delayed entry program, but you decided later on that you woke up basically and you saw the writing on the walls and you decided not to join the military. This is an out. But we'll come back to this F, G, and H part of the contract later and probably at another episode. I think it needs an episode all by itself. But I'm going to add this part to it here. If you know someone who's in the delayed entry program, or you're in it, or somebody who wants to get out of it, or you're just curious, the National Network Opposing the Militarization of Youth, the National Network Opposing the Militarization of Youth, have really good information about the delayed entry program and how to get out of it. It's, I guess you can go nnomy.org. Okay. That's nnomy.org. the National Network Opposing the Militarization of Youth. You have information about that. You also got the GI Rights Hotline. A person can go. These are on the websites, on the web, GI Rights Hotline. And so basically you can get out of it. Just don't go back down there again. And there's a lot, you can also just Google it. All right. Okay. That's my 30th. That's my just digressing down the rabbit trail. And we'll get back to that one probably at another episode. But today, what we're going to talk about is, guess what? Part C of the enlistment contract. That's page 2 of 4. That's page 2 of 4. It's right at the bat. This sheet here is the devil revealing his plan for you. I say the devil. I don't mean the devil. I don't want to disrespect him that much. But the military, right? They're warning you. They even make you initial it that you read it. The problem is that when you get to this form here, Part C, you're so hyped up. You done answer all the easy questions. You done talked about your name, where your home of record is, how many years you're going to be in. That's the goodies right there. Then they slip this one in. They slip this Part C in on you, okay? And it said partial statement of existing United States laws. Now, when I was informed about this, it didn't mean nothing to me, especially as an 18-year-old. It didn't mean nothing. I said, oh, it must be some about the laws and whatever. And I turned off my thinking. I turned off my analytical side, and I entrusted the military, which is the last thing you want to do. And by the way, it's not like I'm bashing the military. Hey, I'm a veteran. I serve honorably, but I've seen the other side, right? Had I seen this, had somebody sat down with me and explained Part C to me, I would never have joined. I never would have joined the military. Never. Because essentially what it does, it takes away your human side. It takes away who you are. It takes away your freedom. It takes away your constitutional rights. It takes away your ability to make decisions. It takes away your future. There's something called the cost benefit, okay? Where sometimes the cost just doesn't equal to the benefit you're going to get. And that's what you get when you're in the military. Anyways, I'm gonna run down it. I'm gonna talk about it, right? A little bit of each one, so you're gonna get a good glimpse of it. And I hope I don't bore you too much, but pay attention. You can always go back. All right, here we go. Okay, this is Part C, line number 9. For all enlistees or re-enlistees, it says, I understand that many laws, regulations, and military customs will govern my contact and require me to do things under this agreement that a civilian does not have to do. Think about that. You're going to be getting into a situation where the average Joe on the street, or Jane, or I don't know, I'm not going to say that. The United States citizen will not have to endure. Okay? That's first thing I'm telling you. And this right here should tell you that you're getting into a world all its own. Everything that you know will be upside down and sideways, will no longer exist. This first one here, it separates you from the world. Okay? Okay, 9A. It says, my enlistment and / re-enlistment agreement is more than an employment agreement. Once again, listen to what it says. My enlistment / re-enlistment agreement is more than an employment agreement. It affects a change in status from civilian to military member of the armed forces. All right? This is taking you out, like I said before, of what you know. Okay? And when he says it's more than a contract, it's taking away everything from you. It's stripping you down, butt naked, and redeveloping you. And we do it with a smile because we're glad we got through boot camp, right? Heck, that was just a mind trip to rewire you. That's all that was. Okay? It says here, you're required to obey all lawful orders and perform all assigned duties. Okay? Think about that. Okay? Talking about open check. You're required to obey all lawful orders, and that's the subjective, right? What lawful is. Basically, what it comes down to is what the officer tells you to do. All right? and then perform all assigned duties. Okay, all assigned, whether you enlisted for it or not. If it's extra duty, if it's something different, you have to do it. All right. Even if it means that even that means that you are assigned to another unit. Let's just say that your unit isn't being deployed, but yet you're assigned to a unit that's going to be deployed, and that you're going to be doing a different job that you were doing when you enlisted for. I think it was a good movie that I watched. It was a tanker movie. What was that? Fury? No, it wasn't Fury. It was with Brad Pitt in the World War II, and he was a tank commander. Anyways, it was a guy, a clerk typist, ended up being a tanker. They just yanked him, put him in there. Okay, and that's real. That happens. That can happen, right? That can happen. I think it was Fury. I'll come back to it. And so that's what they can do. So let's move on here. On number 2, it was 9 number 2. It says, I may be discharged and given a certificate for less than honorable services, which may hurt my future job opportunities and my claim for veterans benefits. What it's saying here is that if something happens with you in the military, and for some reason you are being discharged under other than honorable conditions, then that's also going to hurt your future jobs. You can't get employment. Okay? So once again, you are being subjected to things that a civilian would not have to be subjected to. By signing this contract is that it can impact your future income, your job after you're in the military, or your ability to get a job. And now people say, but you're saying I can be good. I'm not going to be in the problem. I'm not going to be no problem. I'm going to get out. I'm going to do what I'm told. But here's what you don't understand. It's the same thing I've been talking to you about before, was the Farris Doctrine. The military has complete control, right? And you don't always have to have done anything wrong. They can just pin it on you. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. In the military, it doesn't work that way. Basically, I'm going to say it doesn't work that way. And I think it doesn't work that way. You can be doing what you're supposed to do. My friend was an example of this, right? My friend was being truthful. They weren't lying. They were being honorable. But Brett Dockery, I've been talking about this before, trumped up charges. And not only did they trump up charges, they took the investigation from one other person who actually did it, and they wrapped it in with this person who didn't do it. And then they ended up getting it, messing with their retirement. They couldn't retire at the rank they had. Okay? So you got to understand that in the military, life isn't the same. Things can happen to you that no one can help you with. If you listen to my other podcasts, you're going to know that your courts ain't going to help you. Your congressional leaders are not going to help you. The Farris Doctrine is what allows it to happen. So what I want you to understand from this part here is that what happens in the military carries on to your personal life, your civilian life. Okay? Now, you're also, number 3, you're subject to the military justice system, which means that you could be court-martialed. They say you may be, but you will be court. So you don't get a trial like a veteran, like a regular civilian. You get a military-style trial, which means that your jury, they say, is of their peers, but it's of other officers. And they say they're enlisted, but they're senior enlisted. They say that you get rights, but the Farris Doctrine takes that away. And the officers stick together, and if you're on trial, they're going to hang you. I don't care what you say. Now, I would probably say there's probably a probably 0.3% that you wouldn't be, but for the most part, for the average Joe, the average enlisted person who comes up the streets, who has no money for college, whose family's broke, lower income, middle income family, where they can't afford $1,000 an hour attorney, you're done. You're under that judicial system, and I talked about it before. I'm not going to keep going into it. Let's move on here, okay? All right. You're required of an order to serve in combat or other hazardous situations. Once again, you're going to be required upon order to serve in combat situations or hazardous. By you joining, you may be thinking that you may be getting a job like a clerk typist or some easy, cushy job, something that, like a medical. But you could be ordered into combat even though your unit isn't, right? and or hazardous situation. Right now, we're dealing with Iran. Our gracious president got us involved over in the Middle East. Pretty much, I don't know. It's sad. I don't know why they don't learn from that mistake over Ukraine and Russian. But here's what I'm saying: is here. That's the kind of things you're talking about. When you're ordered to go, you got to go, regardless of why you're going. In the days of it being patriotic, God bless America, and my grandma apple pie and white picket fences and all the other stuff they fed you, it's over. It isn't about that. It isn't about this country. It's about dollars and cents. It's about flexing, and it's about market manipulation, if you would, if I can go that way. It isn't about being patriotic. It isn't about serving your country. You're serving the economic system. It's pure and simple. But Part C is telling you that. Laws and regulations. Here's something that I find really interesting here. The laws and regulations that govern military personnel may change without notice to you. To me, I'm reading it here. This is Part B9. Such changes may affect your my pay status, allowance, benefits, responsibilities, and armed forces member, regardless of the provision of this enlistment contract document. So what they're saying is that things are going to happen, and your contract doesn't matter. Okay, that's what this is saying. And two things I want to mention: that the stop loss on when the government shut down, they were just trying to figure out how they were going to pay our military. That's an example of that. They found some money, right? But even the fact that they had to even go find money just to cover it. Also, yeah. So that's what I'm saying right there. That first part is really clear. It's all about you taking away your rights. It's all about what you're going to do, right? What you can't do. That's what the Part 9 is. So let's look at Part 10. It's Part C, but line 10 or Section 10. Military service obligations, service on active duty, and stop loss for all members of the active and reserve components, including the National Guard. Okay, this section here, what it says is this. If this is my enlistment agreement, I must serve a total of 8 years unless I am sooner discharged or otherwise extended by the appropriate authority. So they got you for 8 years. You may only serve 3 years here and 4 years there, right? Initial enlistment. But they have you for 8 years. And they can extend it beyond the 8 years. Okay? And there's nothing you can do about it. Down here, Part B, line 10, I understand that I can be ordered to active duty at any time while I'm a member of the delayed entry program. In time of war, my enlistment may be extended without my consent for the duration of the war and for the 6 months after its end. All right, so feast on that, if you will, okay? So basically, even if you do the delayed entry program, they can pull you right in with that your say-so, which contradicts what the delayed entry program is all about. It's okay. It also can be, you can stay there for the duration. So what this is saying is this: once you're in the military, you're in the military. They got you. They got you. All right. I'm gonna say they got you. I understand that I can be ordered to active duty at any time while I'm a member of the delayed entry program. Right now, Trump's got us over there in the Middle East, and they start getting if things start going sideways, they're gonna start looking for some warm bodies, and they're gonna find those warm bodies in the delayed entry program. They're gonna find those warm bodies in the reserves, in active reserves, the National Guard. Yeah, those people who thought, yeah, I'm gonna join the reserves or the National Guard 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in a year, gonna serve. Yeah, and then they gonna say you get that paycheck every month, right? 1 week in a month. Yeah, what's gonna happen is that when it's time to go, they're gonna yank your little tired butt up, put you in a plane, send you over to the desert, and that's where you're gonna be until they're finished with you. And what does that mean for your job? Guess what? Somebody's not gonna have a job when they come back. And usually the pay that you have in the military isn't equal to your civilian pay. You're gonna have a drop. And if you got a family, you have kids, you're gonna have some financial hardships. All because you wanted that college tuition assistance that the National Guard was gonna provide for you, or the reserves or the Army, all because of that. Those nickels and dimes. Yeah, I'm pissed off. I'm telling you I am. But this is Part C. This is what they're telling you. This is something you really got to get a hold of, and you have to read. I don't want to bore you. There's so much here. There is just so much. Maybe I'll just do this first section today, and next time we'll go through. Let's see here. Yeah, just so much. Yeah. And a lot of this talks about without my consent. I'm gonna plow through it. Just I'm gonna have a cup of coffee here, sip of coffee, I'm gonna get going. Okay. Now this is for you guys, these people who went to the reserves or Ready Reserves or National Guard. Okay. As a member of the Ready Reserve, to include the delayed entry program in time of national emergency declared by the president, I may, without my consent, be ordered to serve on active duty. Okay, so we got Mr. I'm just gonna say the president. I don't want to use his name. So, right now, the president can declare emergency. Right? You start getting their butts kicked over in the desert. Trump can say, "Hey, it's an emergency," right? And he's gonna pull everybody that he can, especially to replace the ones that lost over there. All right, and there's nothing you can do about it. It says to be ordered to serve on active duty, and my military service may be extended without my consent for not more than 24 consecutive months. My enlistment may be extended during this period without my consent. So they can keep extending you without your consent. All right? It says in there without my consent. Everything is I should call this the without my consent. All right? So as a member of the Ready Reserve, I may at any time and without my consent be ordered to active duty and complete a total of 24 months. Oh, this is interesting. It says of not more than 24 months, but this one here says as a member of the Ready Reserves, I may and without my consent be ordered to active duty to complete a total of 24 months of active duty, and my enlistment may be extended so I can complete a total of 24 months of active duty. Okay, so now you got 2 years. 2 years. And you said you signed up for whatever. Now they got 2 years. And people are going to say, oh, this may not happen, or it says maybe the president declares. You're living in a time right now where, especially with the current president, whatever he wants, he gets. Whatever he declares, it happens. So if it says a national emergency, they can call him up. He's going to say it's a national emergency. Think about that. Whatever he wants, he gets. And all he has to do is say the word that's in the document. Okay? National security, time of war. People say, oh, and what recruiters are going to talk about, they're going to say, the Congress has to declare war. Yeah, yeah. The Congress has to, but the president has a lot of leeway before that happens. Right now, it's Operation, I don't know, it's Fury or something. They call it something like Operation. They call it something. They don't call it war. They call it just in Russia. Putin, he called it a military action. He didn't call it a war. Yeah, and he just destroyed his country. And I hope Trump doesn't do that to the United States. I really don't. If you've been following that war between Russia and Ukraine, I'm telling you, Ukraine's just been kicking ass the whole time. And it's amazing. I see a lot of similarities with the United States. We're thinking we're a superpower. We got all the hardware. But this is a new age. It's a new way of fighting, right? Where people can, I just say just pray for our soldiers and pray for our leaders that they have wisdom. And just pray for our soldiers and our sailors and Marines, people who are serving. Pray for them. So now we're down here that was G. On part G, it says under section 10, part G, during any period, members of a reserve component are serving on active duty pursuant to an order to active duty under the authority of the 10 U.S.C. 12301, the president may suspend any provisions of a law relating to my promotion, retirement, or separation from the armed forces if he or she or his designee determines I am essential. All right, so basically, I don't know what that means, to tell you the truth. May suspend any provision of law. So basically, once again, you have no choice when you read that. The president may suspend any provision of law relating to my promotion, retirement, or separation from armed forces. So basically means that under my promotion, basically, he can freeze all promotions. And the funny thing was that just yesterday, I read an article about the Secretary of Defense pulling senior officers off their promotion list because their ideology didn't agree with President Trump's. So these people who are in line for promotions, these are women and people of color, to the first star, they were taken off the list. Okay, that's kind of what you're talking about here. If you don't agree with if you don't It's nothing more about leadership now. It's that, do you agree with what we're trying to do, legal or illegally? If not, we're going to get rid of you. And I think that's almost similar to what Putin's doing. He just executes his officers. They go through. They've been going through generals, like I don't know how many generals they got, like those little Pez candies. They just keep popping up new generals, and they keep. I don't know. And so there's a lot of similarity between Russia and the United States right now, as far as what's happening and how the officers, and how the president, how what's going on. And it's just scared the American people, but we're so complacent that most people don't realize what's happening. But I'm gonna move on here. Let me see here. I'm gonna skip down here. This is section number 11, right? Oh yeah, it's saying that if I'm serving on a vessel, if you're in the Navy or Coast Guard or Marines, then you get returned to you return to the United States in your enlistment. If you're in foreign waters and your enlistment is up, they'll try to get you back to the United States as soon as possible, right? Or it says, essential to the public interest, I understand that I may be retained on active duty until the vessel returns to the United States. There you go. If it's essential to the public interest, what does that mean? That means that what Trump gets. And if we're in the Middle East fighting, you ain't going home. You are stuck on that boat forever. Forever. At least, I don't know. Nobody can go home. And that's what I'm saying. You need to read part C. You need to read part C, and you just need to read it. And read it from the perspective of not if, but will. Okay? Don't think of it. This contract is always written in the favor of the government. If it's in here and it says they may or they could, they will, if it serves their interest. And it's as simply as stating, this is a national security issue. We are in the middle of a fight. We are in the middle of a situation here in the Middle East. And right now, all leaves are suspended. All ETSs or end of term services done with. Anyone supposed to get out, we're going to do a stop loss. Okay? So that's what that's all about. You got to really look at yourself when you think about the military and the contract. And they say it in the first one. They say it. I understand that many laws and regulations and military customs will govern my conduct and require me to do things under this agreement that a civilian does not have to do. My enlistment agreement is more than an employment agreement. It affects a change in status from civilian to military member of the armed forces. Okay? I may be discharged and given a certificate for less than honorable service, which may hurt my future job opportunities. You never know what's going to happen to you while you're in, right? You never know. You never know if you got a commander that doesn't like you. You never know if your leadership don't care for you. You don't know. Do I regret being in the military? Yes, I do. I wasted my time. I wasted my time because I joined for an ideology that didn't exist. I wanted to serve. I wanted to be an active military. I drank the Kool-Aid. I trusted our government. I trusted them. But with my friend's situation and my 30 years of investigating and research, I tell people, the smart kids, the kids that have some noodles upstairs, find another way to go to college. The other students who's just trying to straighten their lives out, maybe they haven't done so well and they want a fresh start, I tell them, find another way. Get a job and just do the best at that job, and the discipline will come. Okay, people say go to the military for the discipline. No, you get a job, you keep your job, you get up every day, and you go to your job. That's discipline. Right? You don't need have nobody yelling at you and cursing at you to tell you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. That's dependency. You get in trouble, not sure what you want to do. You know what? Get a job. Hang out there. Do the best you can. Be a good citizen. Don't get locked up for too long, right? That's it. But you still have your freedom. You still have your freedom. And I believe that there comes a time that our country is under attack, and it's for real, not just one of these weapons of mass destruction things, or they got nukes over there someplace, right? No, it's not one of those things. It's real. I'll be the first. I don't think I'll ever join the military again. I'm probably too old, but I would do what I can do to help. But if it ever came to the point to where it came to that, I'm pretty sure you would join, and it would be for a worthy cause. But anything outside of that, other than picking fights with other countries, that's what we do now. I don't mean to get sideways on it, And do we need it? Yeah, we need a strong military. Yeah, we need to do what we got to do. We got to trust our government. We got to trust our government. We got to trust our leaders that they're going to make the right choices for us. And then as a civilian, as a citizen, just do what you can do. Serve where you can, do what you can do, but protect your freedoms, protect your rights. Don't give up so easily. And that comes down to just reading these contracts. It's very simple. It's just 4 pages, right? Download, look at it. There's other ways. There's always other ways. And eventually you got to get out the military anyways. I don't know. So that's it. When you look at it, the contract is everything, right? They tell you what you have to do. But this part C, something that they will gloss over really quickly, right? They will gloss it over. They would probably paraphrase it and make you feel like, but don't. Take the time to read it. Hire an attorney. Ask them, what does this mean? Everything that's in this contract is enforceable by the government, and it's enforceable. But if you try to enforce it, it won't help no water. So anyways, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. I rambled on a little bit. I read things that I read from the contract, the verbiage I read, and my next episode, we'll look at the other parts as well, especially the one part that talks about getting out of the delayed entry program. Until next time, do your research. Don't believe everything you hear. I don't believe everything you hear. I'm on a podcast. Yeah. But what I mean by that is don't believe everything you hear. Go do your research. Google it. You can also, if you can stay out of the military, stay out. And if you're in, just understand the situation. I think understanding the situation will help you in times in bad times. Understanding what's happening will help you. And remember these 4 things. The Ferris Doctrine rules everything. It is what allows the military to do things against you that you never thought was purposeful. It allows the military not to be held accountable. Okay. Second thing is, don't go crying to your congressional leaders if things go sideways in the military for you, because there's nothing they can do. They won't do. And I talked about it before. You're not going to, when you send a letter, you're not right. Don't be so naive. You're not writing to the congressperson. You're writing to some entry-level person who's going to open it up and classify it or even throw it away. It will never be seen by a congressional leader. All right? It will never be. Trust me. The other thing is, JAG is not your friend. JAG is just the disciplinary arm of the government, of the military. It's what they what they use to keep their troops in line. It's the whip. Okay? And filing the civilian courts, yeah, they'll let you file a case there. They're not going to stop you, but it's always going to end up against you. The only difference is that you're going to be a lot less, your bank account is going to be a lot less. It's going to be smaller. Until next time, hang in there. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.